Hello everyone, welcome to iFashi. Today's tutorial will be teaching us how to cut and sew this beautiful butterfly bubu. It's a short bubu dress. The length can be adjusted to your preferred length. So here's the one we made from this tutorial, guys. It's a very pretty and easy dress. It can serve as everyday wear or to a very casual event. Before we begin, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and also follow us on other social media platforms at iFashi because we also drop short tutorials there. Now here's the fabric we're going to be using for this project. It's a 4 yards Adire fabric, and this is a patterned Adire fabric. The fabric has two different sides. So I would want one side to be front and the other side to be back. And also for the gathered edge, I would also like to use this other side of the fabric to achieve that. Now, before I start folding this fabric, I want to use this pattern paper to illustrate how we are going to be folding this fabric. If you don't know how to fold a bubu already, just pay attention to this illustration. The way I'm placing this pattern paper, you're going to place your fabric facing down, fold it downwards, and then you now fold it sideways. By the time you fold it like this, you're going to have 4 pieces, right? And this 4 pieces will serve for both front and back because we're cutting them together. Now, as you can see on your screen, my fabric has been folded into 2. I just folded it downwards first. After folding it downwards, I'll now fold it sideways to give me this 4 piece. Now, if you count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. The reason that one is like that is because I pinned it. This fabric tends to move a lot, so I pinned it so that it will be easy for me to fold. And now after folding, this other folded part on my side will serve as the neck line. On this straight line, which will serve as our shoulder, where we'll be taking our neck, we'll be taking off 3 measurements from there. The first measurement is the neck measurement, the next one is our shoulder measurement, and then you're going to now extend from that shoulder to get your sleeve length. So now I'm taking 3 inches for my neck measurement, then 8 inches for the shoulder measurement, and then from that 8 inches point, I'll extend the sleeve. Depends on the length you want. You have to measure yourself to know where your sleeve is going to end. So altogether on this straight part, I have 23 inches. This totally depends on how long you want your sleeve to drop. So now that we are done with the upper part, we're going to start taking our measurement downwards. This is a very simple dress. The only thing I need to take here is our bust measurement down. After marking out the bust, you mark out the waist point. Then from that waist, you're going to now come down with the desired length of your dress, right? So I came down with 11 inches here. I later added 5 inches to make it 16. If I had left it at that 11, it would have been very short. So if you're okay with that, that's completely fine. So after taking out these measurements now, we're going to go ahead and extend these shoulder measurements all the way down to cut out this fabric. Now it will look like a box like this. So before we go ahead and curve, let's first of all cut out the neck part. To cut out this neck, you're going to place your tape from the shoulder downwards and mark out your chest line, which is 8 inches for me, right? So after marking out that chest line, I'll now place my straight ruler from the 3 inches inward I took for my neck and down to meet this 8 inches I just took. This is because I want my V to stop at my chest. If you want it deeper than that, that's completely your choice, right? So after marking out this V, we will not be cutting it out yet. Remember, it is folded into 2. The back is there. So we need to mark out our back neck depth, which is 1 inch, coming down with 1 inch from the 3 inches we took. Now I'm going to cut out that 1 inch for the back and then remove this back piece by opening up this fabric before I cut out this V we have in front. So I'll open it up like this, arrange it properly so that I can cut out this V-neck we have in front. Remember to remove the back piece first. If you cut it together, the back neck and front neck is going to be V-neck. So now we've removed our V. I'm going to go ahead and fold our fabric back the way it was before. Now, after folding the fabric into 4 again, this is what we have. We have our back and front together. Remember, it is joined at the shoulder. We are not tearing the shoulder open. So now this is what we have. The next thing is to work on that gathers we have at the edge. Mind you, we are not going to be gathering it straight like this. We will curve it later. But first, let's cut out the fabric we will use to achieve these gathers. In order for us to cut it out, you're going to determine the length of your gathers. And to determine that length, you need to measure what you have all around this upper part that we have already cut. So after taking the round measurement from one shoulder to the other shoulder, remember it's cut together, I have 104 inches. Now I'm going to multiply that 104 by 2 because the fabric is on fold. 104 is just for front. What about the back? So when you multiply 104 by 2, it gives you 208. And we are also going to multiply this 208 by 2. Because if you cut only 208, it will not gather, it will just be straight. So we need to double what we are cutting to achieve the gathers you're seeing on your screen. So I'm going to keep this paper that we just used to calculate aside and cut out this long piece that will be gathering all around. Remember, this long fabric we are going to cut now depends on the width you want your gathers to be. That's how wide you want your gathers to be. I'm cutting out 6 inches so that by the time I fold in the edge and attach it to the dress, I'll still have like 5 inches left. So cut the width that you're very comfortable with. Now, for the length, we already did our calculation. Measure round the dress itself and double what you have so that you can achieve the gathers. So now I've cut my long piece. This one is for the front. Remember, my back and front fabric is different because of the pattern the fabric came with. So this flowered part, I'll gather it for the part that is plain, and the plain part, I'll gather it for the part that has flowers. That's just what I'm going to do. So I'm cutting double of this. I'll go ahead and pin them together and stitch to have one long 416 inches fabric. Don't be confused, it's a very simple mathematics. We measured round what we have in the bubu itself and doubled it to achieve the gathers that we have there, right? Now let's move forward. The next thing we're going to do now is to cut the facing for the neckline. You're going to decide to either bias it all around or use a facing, but I'll prefer to use a facing. So I'll face this fabric downwards, fold it again, the same way we cut the bubu itself, right? So that you have 4 pieces, and then I'll place the neck on it like this. I'm using the front to cut it because the front can cut the back. You just need to come down with 1 inch to achieve your back and then cut the front. Just the same way we cut the neckline on the bubu itself. So I'm just using my chalk to mark out the V we have and the 1 inch for the back. I'll cut it off, open it out and cut the V. This particular piece of fabric here will now serve as the facing I'll use to turn the neck on our bubu. This bubu is very easy to make. It is something that even a beginner can confidently make. If you know a beginner or you are a beginner and you're interested in learning how to make clothes, I want you to know that registration is currently on for our 3 months intensive beginners class, and class is starting next week. The link to register for this class will be provided in the description box. Please do well to register now because you will be learning a lot in this class. So after cutting it, I'm just going to place it on top of it like this so that you see what we have and how we're going to turn it. So you're going to place the pieces we just cut, place it on top of this bubu, the neck on the neck part, right sides facing each other. So when you place it right sides facing each other, you're going to pin it all around because we're going to be stitching around this neck shape we have here. So I'm just holding it down with a pin so that when I take it to the sewing machine, I'll just go ahead and stitch all around. So I'll take this to the sewing machine now and stitch and also top stitch on the lining. And another thing I also do at the sewing machine is to join all these long pieces I held with pin, right? And I'll be right back to show you what we have after that. So I've gone ahead to stitch the facing of the neck to it, and I also top stitched on this lining piece. So after top stitching, the next thing I'm going to do is to notch all the curve we have there. This part, this facing part, you're going to notch it. Wherever you have any curve, you have to notch it so that it doesn't cause any squeeze on the outside. So after notching it all around, I'll turn it out to the right side. We're going to go ahead and iron it very well so that this neck will lay very flat. And when I'm ironing, I'm going to add hemming gum to the inside so that that lining piece will lay very flat. It will not be dangling about on the neck. And that's that for the neckline. Now, another thing I also did was to extend my length. Remember what I had earlier was 11 inches downward from my waist. It was way too short. And I didn't want it to be as short as the inspiration you're seeing on your screen, right? I wanted mine to come down a little bit. So I added 5-inch piece of fabric to extend the length downwards a bit. And after stitching it, I ironed it, and the part where I joined the fabric is almost invisible because I ironed the stitch I made there. Now, the next thing we're going to be doing is to curve the edge of this bubu. If you go ahead and gather straight like this, you will not achieve this curve you have that you're seeing on your screen. It has to curve so that the gathers all round can curve and give you that butterfly shape. Yeah? So now I'm going to measure and mark out my waist point. Remember when we're cutting, we had our waist point, right? I'll mark it out and use my chalk. This part, you don't really need measurement, yeah? I'll just use my chalk to mark a curve like this because the part we are cutting out is this straight edge. We don't want it to come down straight. In order for it to give you that curve, you have to just cut out this curve that I just marked. After cutting it out, you now go ahead and place your gathers. Remember this piece of fabric that we gathered earlier? I've gone ahead to join them together, and now we have one long piece of fabric. Remember the calculation we used to achieve this long piece. Another thing I did, I folded in the edge, and I also used a loose stitch to stitch the upper part so that I can drag one of the threads to achieve the gathers. So I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera now because this gathers takes a lot of time. So after gathering it, before we will start attaching it to the edge, you place it right sides facing each other and stitch, and that will be that. But first, I'm going to go ahead now and finish the gathers. Now, after gathering, this is what it looks like. After drawing the thread to achieve the gathers, the next thing we're going to do now is to pin it on the bubu itself. Now, remember I mentioned the plain part of this bubu is the part I'll gather on the flowered part of this bubu, while the flowered side will go to the plain side. So the part where I join them together is where I'll attach to my shoulder. The gathering will start from my shoulder, right? I'll place it right sides facing each other. The right side of the gathers and the right side of the bubu will face each other, and I'll stitch. I'll go ahead and pin it now all around. After pinning it all around, you remember you're going to have two opened edges. You need to join the two open edges together because this bubu is cut together. There's no opening anywhere, right? So after gathering it all around, these two edges you're going to have left, you're going to place it right sides facing each other and stitch so that it will be one closed gathers. So this part that you stitch will be attached to the other side of the shoulder. Remember you started your joining from one shoulder. The other side will also be attached to the other side of the shoulder. So after doing that now, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to iron the neckline. Remember I said I'll use hemming gum to make it lay flat. Now this is what the neck is looking like, very neat. And for the gathers as well, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to gather it all round. I started from one shoulder to the other shoulder. You know, we used a loose stitch thread to do the gathering first before we attached it to this bubu. So when you're gathering it, make sure you measure it so that it will go round and the gathers will be even all around. One side will not be gathered more than the other, right? So now this is what we have. We're almost done with this bubu. It's very easy to make. The remaining thing now is to close the two sides. So for you to know how to close the two sides, you're going to measure, come down with 14 inches. This is the armhole part, where the part that will be opened on your arms, right? So I came down with 14 inches and I made a straight line downwards. The line stopped before the gathers. I did this on both sides. And for you to know the point where I'm stitching on that curved, the part of the bubu that has the most curve. That's the part I'm stitching now. I did not use any measurements because it is not meant to come too close to your hip or to your waist. It's a very free butterfly dress, right? So you are meant to wear it freely. The only thing that is giving it snatch is the belt we have on the waist. And I've gone ahead to also stitch my fabric that I'll be using for belts. And that's what you're seeing here. So to attach this belt, you're going to take your measurement from your center front. Remember this V part is our center front, right? So I'll place my tape on this center front, go to the left with 7.5, go to the right with 7.5. That's my front waist measurement, right? 7.5 plus 7.5 is 15. Measure your front waist to know where to place that belt. So to also know the point that the belt will be from the shoulder downwards, you need to also measure from your shoulder to your waist to know where to place the belt. Mine is 17 inches, remember? So you're going to place that belt at that waist point. On the inside, remember this belt is going to be placed on the inside. And this belt usually comes before the stitch you have on both sides of the dress. That's the part where we closed this butterfly dress on the side, right? So I'll use my pin now to pin down the belt to the point where I'll be attaching it to. And when you're placing this belt, make sure the belt is facing outside, which is the gathers part. The belt is not meant to come inwards towards your waist, right? It's going to go outside. So I'll pin it down. I'll take it to the sewing machine and stitch the 2 points where the belts are. Remember, the belt is being stitched to the front part so that I can tie it backwards. So I'll stitch the belt and I'll also run a stitch down on this point I marked with chalk, and that will be that for this dress, guys. I've done just that, and this is what we have. Very simple and straight to the point. See the point where I joined it on the side, and this is the armhole that is opened. And our belt has been attached on the inside as well. I'll go ahead now and put on this dress for you guys to see the beautiful dress we just made from this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching to this point, guys. I really appreciate. Please support us by subscribing to the channel. Remember to like and share this video as well, and also turn on your notifications so that you'll be notified whenever we drop our weekly tutorials. And I'll see you next week.